We got a lot of stuff going on. Got a lot of stuff going on out there, and I got a lot to talk about. There's so many different areas of interest that are out there right now. I think that the latest with the National Guard shooting, the Afghan that came all the way from Washington State. We're going to have to look at Washington State as a hotbed. So you got a guy traveling that's CIA trained from ground branch level in Kandahar, where SEAL Team 6 was also stationed. And they did the bin Laden hit they flew from Kandahar. All right. So you have very high level secretive groups there that trained this Afghan. Right. And the Biden administration just carte blanche, come on in. Right. Bad, very bad. He's one of probably thousands that have come in. Right. So highly trained. That's why he did headshots onto both of those National Guard soldiers who were sworn in like days before. So both of them are not savvy to combat operations. I'm sure they weren't even close to any combat operations. Unfortunately, the young 20-year-old female, God rest her soul, and prayers to her and her family. She basically, at 20 years old, there's no way she could have had any combat experience, and she's National Guard. So National Guard usually is like the lowest level of combat, ability, combat readiness, and so forth, although they're trained for it to a certain extent. When I would see in Iraq and Afghanistan, and I can't remember seeing National Guard in Afghanistan, but I saw them a lot in Iraq. They were shaky. You could tell in their eyes and the way they handle themselves, they were not comfortable in combat situations. So now you're thrusting these National Guard that are stationed throughout America now and coming into positions. You're thrusting them now into combat situations. I and many others have talked about how we're in a combat situation already. And this obviously illustrates it. So here you got a highly trained Afghan combat veteran in Afghanistan, trained to a level of SEAL Team probably 6 and higher, maybe. All right, maybe even higher, because all those SEAL Team 6 guys get combat action like probably this Afghan did. All right, so here he is, comes all the way to Washington, D.C., and just happens to find the two least trained and vulnerable, and he does it close to the White House. Who helped him there in Washington, D.C.? All right, so he comes all the way from Washington State, so we got to look at Washington State as a place where there are problems. There are problems in Washington State. We already know that. So you have a highly trained Afghan driving from Washington State to Washington, D.C. Who helped him? Who paid for this? Who got him all this stuff? And who told him where to go? And he's probably, looking for targets. Maybe there's other people out there searching for targets, and we're coordinating with him and others. That's my best guess, right? So he would be used to that kind of, coordination, having been trained by the highest levels of combat. This is what really used to piss me off, guys. When I was in the SEAL teams, we would go overseas and we would train other groups, right? Not the Aussies. They were like brothers and sisters to us, right? But when we went to the Middle East, we only trained them to a certain level. They were always bitching at us. You always teach us the same stuff. We know you guys got more. We're like, no, this is it, man. Because we knew that these guys could potentially be people we would fight in the future. Hello. So what do we have? we have contractors that are paid a lot of money, that are highly trained, that start to train these guys, doing it for money. And then you have the CIA ground branch that's training all of these people, Yemen, in Ukraine, and other places around the world. And now we're fighting a lot of these people. Why do I say Ukraine? And we're fighting these people. We know that the Ukrainians came to Washington, D.C. for J6. That's already been proven. We also know they went to Canada during their trucker convoy and beat the hell out of the Canadians, because Canadians don't beat the hell out of each other, although now they do because they've gotten a lot of Ukrainians in there, right? So it's a bad situation we're in right now, right? So we are at war. We're in the very, very early stages of full-on combat in American cities. That's tip of the iceberg, what we just saw in Washington, D.C., right? So we're going to have combat trained forces within our big cities eventually, right? So at the border, we have combat trained, very high level, SEAL Team 6, Delta, all kind of high-end people in places where they need to be. Now, when I was at SEAL Team 6, we would train with the local SWAT teams. Not very well known, right? So that way we could integrate with them in case there were problems within the big cities, which are coming. I got to back that up. Not coming. They're here. They're here right now. Look at Minnesota. Look at Minnesota. Who was the governor of Minnesota at one point in time? And it was a very happy time. Jesse Ventura. Jesse Ventura, who basically left after one term the governorship of Minnesota. His wife got cancer. All right. We know how they can, slap us with cancer. And I've been hit with the heart attack machine. Had a lot of people come up and shake my hand. I got sick. It's almost to death. So these savages, deep state savages, guys, are really after us. Right. So they want to destroy America. If they destroy America, we've talked about this for the last 8 years. Right. If they destroy America, then the whole world is theirs. Right. They own the world. They're moving as if they already own the world, and America is just a second thought. Yeah, we're going to own it. We're going to own America, right? So we're kind of in their way, and we're having actually pretty good inroads in taking down their system. If their system collapses in America, where their basically base is, then it will collapse all over the world very rapidly. So that's why they are really hammering down on us. All right. So let's jump into some of this. This is going to be a little bit of a show. So gird your loins, get ready. All right. As the Spartans would do, gird your loins and be ready for combat. So you're going to get the combat information, guys. This is like a warning order for the combat that's coming. Right. It's going to be intense. It's going to be brutal. We're going to see a lot of people go in brutal ways, just like we saw those unfortunate National Guard. One is fighting for his life, also shot in the head. All right. So, and like I said, it's beginning. Those were easy targets, but you would have been an easier target, obviously. But they're focused on them. So they're sending their warrior class, which is some of these Manchurian candidate trained Afghans and who knows how many other people that are here in America ready to be activated. But they're going to be activating. That's just one guy. Now, we've already seen where during the holidays, Halloween, it was even back to the election. So the election, October, just before the November election, There was, I guess, I don't know if it was another Afghan, maybe there's another Afghan and his son or something like that, was planning on doing like a one-way mission. They were just they had weapons, they had ammo. They were just going to go out and start shooting up Americans, both of them, until somebody killed them. All right. So we are very close to this happening in America. We are so close. I'm surprised it hasn't already started. I attribute it to the fact that President Trump and team have already been active, guys. Let's listen to this.
Brought tens of thousands of unvetted Afghans into the United States of America. Now, NCTC has done their job, and they've identified over 1,400 of these Afghans as having ties to ISIS and to other terrorist groups. Yet Biden let them into the interior of the United States. Same thing with a bunch of ISIS-affiliated Tajiks and Uzbeks who came into the United States of America as well. There's around 600 of them that were also identified by NCTC that are here in America right now.
There are over 1,000 Taliban and ISKP operatives in the United States. These are deep cover operatives that report to Sirajuddin Haqqani and then the leadership of the Taliban and ISKP.
And where's this intel coming from?
The anti-Taliban resistance.
Who's running that?
There are several resistance fronts. There's also President Amrullah Saleh, who's leading Afghanistan Green Trend.
And can you talk about him? That's right.
All right. So there's a lot of us that have been reporting on this. Sean Ryan's show, he has the one former intel officer from the CIA, analyst. I think she might have been actually a case officer, which gathers information, but she's taking that information and analyzing it. So maybe she was an analyst. So the way that CIA works, you have case officers in the field that work with different groups, set up information gathering, HUMINT, which is human intelligence. I was on a lot of those missions. I was on hundreds of those missions, providing protective details. So it is it's a lot. So we were kicking their ass overseas, but now we're seeing after kicking their ass overseas, the bad guy side of the CIA has started sending or has been sending the bad guys here into America, right? So you'll see this in all of the 3I agencies, 3I, 3 intelligence, FBI, CIA, MI6, Mossad, not a 3I, but it is considered one of them, right? So all of these organizations have a facade of goodness, and everybody sees that. To promote that, look at all the good things we're doing. We're stopping terrorist attacks, and they honestly are. I did that. I work with people that are highly intelligent, highly gifted, highly trained, highly dedicated to America, and we did that. But we saw with our own eyes that there were groups that were sabotaging us, and it was very frustrating, right? A lot of you are like, well, why didn't you speak out? Are you kidding me? You're dead if you speak out. I'm almost dead many times over. So a lot of people that speak out, they get outed, they get their lives ruined and sabotaged, like Jesse Ventura. I'm going to get back to him. I got a whole show that's going to revolve around how there's deep state military guys. I've been saying this for years, embedded in every single organization in the military, and some of them are running they're organizations that are running with a facade, just like the CIA, and are running bad guy ops against America, right? Disinformation operations, all kinds of stuff, guys. I've been watching this for a while. I've been trying to speak out about it as much as I can. So I'm the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger, right? Just be observant like I have been. Keep your powder dry. And when you see the whites of their eyes, open fire, right? So that's where we're at right now. All right, so I'm going to jump around a little bit because there was so much information and so many things that I wanted to share. I'm just going to get a little piece here, then I'm going to focus on something. I'm a little piece over here and focus on something again. So just stand by and just, keep your mind open, and we're going to follow along. All right. Trump pushes to nullify Biden's auto pin legacy. So this was the Biden administration was a terrorist organization that came into the United States. Absolutely. Right. We had a terrorist organization running the United States for the 4 years of the Biden administration. And the Trump team behind the scenes was trying to expose this, isolate it, stop it out whenever they could, whenever they could. They did, I think we're going to find out, an exceptional job, right? Just from what I'm seeing, on my side. No, some of these operations, even President Trump wasn't aware of. He was briefed on them later, is my opinion. But he's not the main figurehead in charge of all this, although he is the figurehead of a larger organization. He's the face of something that's much, much bigger, right? So I know a lot of you guys are just like Trump, 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 but there's much bigger things behind President Trump. All right, he would not be here if it wasn't for this larger organization. They would have eliminated that figurehead, Donald Trump, a long time ago. All right, so they're constantly fighting against this. All right, so on Friday, today, he fired off a blistering declaration on Truth Social, vowing to wipe out every executive order, pardon, and policy document from Joe Biden's term that bears the mark of an auto pin. Trump said any document signed by Sleepy Joe Biden with the auto pin, which was approximately 92% of them, is hereby terminated. We are at war. We are going full speed ahead right now, and of no further force or effect. He went on further, slamming the radical left lunatics circling Biden. These are part of the deep state, guys. Anyone that is protecting Biden's legacy, his name, his actions, is part of the deep state. Period. From now on, you got to understand that and know that. All right. All right. So he goes on saying, Biden around the beautiful resolute desk in the Oval Office for stripping the presidency from its occupant and handing the reins to unelected staffers. So the auto pin declaration isn't of itself new. This is something that's been going on for decades. But with Biden, basically, we know that Biden wasn't there. There was a figurehead, sometimes probably put there and controlled by the white hats. Maybe the black hats knew that he was controlled by the white hats, so that isolated him and just worked around him. Right? That's part of my thoughts on that. We'll know more, I think, as time goes on, but that's where we're at. We're basically shutting down a lot of that auto pen signature stuff, and it's on, right? So a lot of people are saying, Department of Justice, they're doing nothing. I don't agree with that. Pam Bondi's doing nothing. I don't agree with that. Kash Patel's doing nothing. He needs to be replaced. She needs to be replaced. I don't agree with it. All right. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with some of the talk of some of the people they have coming in to replace them. All right. So I'm just going to let that lie for now. But if it comes down to the point where I have to expose those people that are trying to push people into those positions, I will do that. All right. So there is a movement, and it's moving in the right direction. There's exposure that's coming on the scene that many of us have been waiting for. One of these is Minnesota taxpayer dollars funneled to Al-Shabaab. So Al-Shabaab is recognized by the U.S. government as a terror organization, has direct ties to Al-Qaeda, so it report alleges. So Ilhan Omar, she is not going to be long for America, right? Probably going to get deported back to her home place of Somalia, right? And a lot of Somalians are going to go with her. that have basically infiltrated into America and have started to take down America. So obviously there are good Somalis that are here, but they're going to be unfortunately looked at hard as well. That's the case. A lot of these people could have been pointed out a long time ago. Some people didn't feel probably comfortable doing that. Maybe some people tried and they got, axed or taken out. Who knows? So a new investigation found that Minnesota taxpayer dollars were going far beyond the North Star states' borders and ending up in the hands of Al-Shabaab, an Al-Qaeda linked terror group. So it goes on to say that Minnesota's Medicaid Housing Stabilization Services Program, Feeding Our Future, and other organizations had basically been sending money that was meant for seniors, for children, and the disadvantaged to Somali terror groups. And I've seen a quarter of a billion all the way up to just under $1 billion. Imagine all of that money. Our seniors, this really pisses me off. I remember when my mom, she started to go down, unfortunately. You see your parents, my parents and my grandparents and some of my aunts and uncles, when their mate left, then the other one left within a year. Right. And that happened to my mom. So after my dad passed over, my mom, within a year, during that time frame, she started to go downhill pretty good. She did not have enough money to support herself she needed to go in a nursing home, right? Because I was running overseas and it's tough, So I was able, fortunately, because I was doing this work overseas, to be able to afford to put her in a very, very high-end nursing home. And unfortunately, she didn't last, but, I don't know, 4 or 5 months there before she passed as well. So she did not have enough money. There was not even close to enough money that would have supported her. From her Social Security, she worked her whole life for the state, and her retirement and Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, not even close, guys. So this is a travesty. And then you have something like this pops up where we're funding with those funds that should be going to disadvantaged and going overseas to fund terror groups that are targeting Americans. Not so good. Not so good, guys. So this is a big thing. And I'm going down this rabbit hole on Minnesota. So it's not looking so good. As it turned out, the Somali fraud rings sent money transfers from Minnesota to Somalia. And according to reports, approximately 40% of households in Somalia get remittances from abroad. In Somalia, 40% of the households getting money from abroad, which is not a big deal if you're in America, you're an American citizen, Somali, I don't care where you're from, or who knows, maybe even Americans send money to Somalia. I don't know. But that's not unusual. This happens all over the world. Every culture does this. But when it starts to come down to American taxpayer money that is supposed to be used for Americans, that's being stolen and sent over there, I guess they're looking at, says the Somalia diaspora sent $1.7 billion to the country. And they're saying that happened in 2023. All right. So it's probably higher. I'm going to think that it's been going on for a long time, for years and years. Minnesota Somali community sent millions of dollars through a network of money traders known as hawalas that wound up in the hands of the terror group. So I guess 70 to 80 people are being investigated right now. Ilhan Omar, who should be like, oh, this is, she should be saying, this is bullshit. We're going to get to the bottom of this. She's like denouncing it, saying that it's attacks against her and against Somalis. So that tells me, as it should you, that she's guilty as hell. All right. She's part of it. She's part of it. And I don't think that she tells her constituents, at some point, I want to go back to Somalia and raise my children after you've stolen millions from the U.S. government, I bet. And, like a lot of these people, they have their insider trading scandals that are going on. And she married her brother to come here to America. I mean, there's so many things. Minnesotans, you need to recall this person and get her the hell out or send her to prison. I would recall her and start an investigation. Our investigation start now. Recall her, and get some legal group that's not corrupted. Which I don't know. I guess that's going to have to be a military tribunal, and put her in prison for the rest of her life. Right. So, yeah, her uncle, her brother uncle. Right. Yeah. So it is. It is crazy. All right. So what does President Trump have to say about this? He is furious. He is so pissed off, and he should be. But all of this stuff has probably been in the background, and now they're disclosing it, guys. So now he's gonna be outraged. But this has already been known. This has been known probably in his first term, and now they're getting around to the point where they can really hammer down on it.
What do the Somalians have to do with this Afghan guy who shot the national?
Nothing, but Somalians have caused a lot of trouble. They're ripping us off for a lot of money. There's a tremendous amount of money going back to Somalia. What the hell are we paying money to Somalia for? But they're ripping off our country at a level that few people have been able to see before. That's about the only thing. You talk about competence. We have Ilhan Omar, who does nothing but complain about our country and our Constitution. And she comes from a country with practically no country. It's devastated, it's crime-ridden, it's a mess, it's a disgrace. And we took their people at a tremendous, we're not taking their people anymore. We're not taking their people. And we're getting a lot of their people out because they're nothing but trouble.
All right. So he's also talking about doing a freeze on third world visas, people coming here and so forth. That's going to be frozen. He needs to really I talked behind the scenes with some people. I'm not going to name names, but they were telling me how there were programs that were made for the disadvantaged and seniors homes and so forth. And we would have people that would come from overseas that were labeled disadvantaged, and they would get these facilities, and the seniors and disadvantaged would continue to be disadvantaged, even though the taxpayers were being told that they're going to be taken care of. But it was like these illegal immigrants, really, when you get right down to it, that were given the ability to come here to America because they were in war-torn areas and they needed help and blah, 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 right? Fix your own country. Somalia is so great, and you love Somalia so much. Take your children back right now, right? Resign and get the hell out of here. Get the hell out of here before we start to investigate you and put you behind bars, Ilan. So that's your warning. We're going to find out. We're going to find out. So who was a former Minnesotan that was highly revered by Minnesotans? He was well liked, and he did a great job in Minnesota, and they destroyed him.
I said, why? He looked around, he whispered, Cuba.
All right, so he went down while he's governor. He's like, okay, all the things that I wanted to check out, now I'm going to check out. So he went down to Cuba, and he was followed by the CIA. Now he has a story where he's in the like Minnesota State House, right? He works there. His I guess where he lives is someplace separate, but he gets called on the weekend, on the Saturday, by the CIA to come down to the basement of the State House, like they own it. And so he gets called down there. He goes down there. He talks about this, and he says he went down there, and they asked him how he won the election, because they had it rigged all the way back then, guys. And there was such an amazing turnout for him. He won, kind of like Trump, right? Now, Jesse is his own man. He has his own ideals, and he talks about the Democrats and the Republic, he calls them both basically criminal organizations, which is true. I totally agree with him. And there's probably a few that aren't. He was an independent. So, and as an independent, he won, which is extremely rare, unless you're Bernie Sanders, right? So this is some of the stuff that he was doing. And so it talks about he was ratted out by Hulk Hogan and backstabbed by Chris Kyle. So, but look what he's doing. He's going and he's exposing stuff. And then eventually he has his own show, which we're going to talk about, which was exposing massive amounts of information. So it was, let me see, what was the name of the show? I'll get down to it. So let me see. Conspiracy theory. So I have it in the works. I'm going to show you all the stuff that he was looking at: 9/11, the JFK assassination, camps within America to put, like Americans, concentration camps, and they had like guillotines them and all kind of crazy stuff. So he exposed a lot of this stuff, aliens, all kinds of stuff, guys. So they came after him hard. And then we're going to talk about Chris Kyle, how he came after him and so forth. There's a lot to this story. So don't go away.
I said, okay. So I went to the governor's residence. Normally I'd go home on a Friday to Maple Grove, where my house is. 4 o'clock, a car pulls up. A guy gets out from the Swedish embassy because, see, Cuba has no embassy here. So Castro has to go through someone else. The Swedish embassy comes in and meets with me, and here's the message. He said, this is a message from Havana to you personally. He said, Cuba wants you to know that a friend of Cuba's, they know you're not seeking re-election, but they want you to know a friend of Cuba's will always be a friend of Cuba's. In other words, you're going to be our friend, even though you're not.
So just like JFK, and he's going to talk about JFK now, and I've done lots of shows on the JFK shooter and how he's part of an assassination team, execution team for the deep state. And when they decided in their own little back offices that you were going to go bye-bye, or they're going to destroy you, because it's easier for them to destroy you. And if they kill you, then your legacy continues and even grows like it did for JFK. Of course, they covered up the truth and they buried all the different truths that he was about. But you have Jesse Ventura coming out, and I remember he did a show about the JFK assassination, and there was no way that the way they described it happened. He tried to go up into a tower that simulated, him using the same weapon, jacking around in, firing, jacking another round in, firing. Absolutely impossible, right? Many of us that have done this have shot, sniper rifles and so it's like that's an impossible shot. Possible shot. So he exposed a lot of this stuff, and they came after him.
Governor anymore. I thought, and you know who that came from.
Sure.
I thought that was pretty good. I thought that was pretty loyal too.
What did you ask him about the Kennedy assassination?
Here's perception of it.
What did he have to say?
Couldn't shut him up for 20 minutes. He said it was an inside job. He said Oswald couldn't make the shots. You know that as well as I do. He said, I had nothing.
Oswald, as we found out from other people, Jim Manning, who did deep investigate. Jim Manning found out when he was at the Washington, I guess he was stationed in Washington as a Marine. He was in some library somewhere where they kept a lot of these records. Just so happened that they had a record on Oswald, and he went and looked it up, and he found that Oswald was a horrible shot. He couldn't even he barely could make the standards. So he was not an expert shooter and was barely making the standards. And in fact, he maybe even failed, and they just pushed him on anyway, because the CIA had, they had a job for him. Now we know that he went to Russia, Oswald, and he was working there to gather information I don't think he was as successful as they wanted him to be. Now, James Files talks about how he and Oswald, for 4 days before the assassination, Oswald, who had been there for a while, scoping the place out, showed him around. And then they kill Oswald. That's how much they, serve and protect, the people that serve and protect them. They kill them, right? They're no longer used for them, and they see him as a way that they could use him as a patsy, like they did with Oswald. So they killed him off.
With it, he said, do I look suicidal to you? He said, I love my country. He said, if I killed John Kennedy, the United States would have wiped Cuba off the earth. I'm not suicidal. He didn't have anything to do with it. And he's correct. Oswald couldn't make the shots, and it was an insult.
Now, there was a time frame where they were trying to pin this on Oswald. I'm not Oswald, but on Castro. They tried to make Castro be like he's the one that basically planned and coordinated, the JFK assassination. That fell through because everybody's like, that's stupid. All right. So this is the thing they constantly throw disinformation out there. They'll go with a story that's disinformation, and when people figure it out, it's like, and then they go with another one. And another one, and another one. And then finally people get tired and they don't want to hear anymore. It's like when I do these shows that have extreme levels of, reveals in them. I'm like, oh my God, everybody's going to rise up now. It's like hardly anybody looks at it. I'm like, wow, it's so sad, but I understand because you hear this stuff over and over and over again. You get tired of it. It's like, oh, it's just another, disinformation rat hole. But I understand because you can't discern what's truth and what's not. So I hope these shows that I do with you is starting to get you to the point where you understand what is true and what is not. This is going to be very important going forward, as it is right now, but even more so as we move forward because the disinformation, and literally it's going to come from both sides, it's going to be over the top. You think it's like crazy now? You haven't seen anything yet, guys.
Job.
What do you think happened?
I think we killed our president. I think a coup d'etat took place. Had John Kennedy lived, there would have been no Vietnam War.
There you go. And we know that. In fact, after he was killed, Lyndon Baines Johnson started sending troops to Vietnam. And that was part of the reason why they kept him alive, because he thought, oh my God, they're going to kill me too. And they're like, no, we're not going to kill you. We're going to use you. You're going to be good. And before the shots happened on the Kennedy assassination, Lyndon B. Johnson was hitting the floorboard, and he had like Secret Service all around him before the shots fired. Yeah. Corruption is deep, guys. It's out of control. Yes, Stephanie. LBJ, evil incarnate. Absolute. All right. But what does that do for us now? Now that we know that, how does that inform us going forward? Well, it informs us so that we don't make the mistake going forward anymore when we see someone like Obama come in. I mean, I got to admit that I was fooled by him too. I was fooled of me, of all people. Yeah. So, but Bush, voted him first time, Bush W. And second time, not so much. I didn't vote for Senior. I saw that he was part of trying to take out Ronald Reagan. That was obvious to me. And why would I think that his son would be any different? I don't know. So, he was the better of the two problems, I guess. I don't know. So, and then you start to see over time, have we had anybody that's good? Yes. Reagan was good, but he was manipulated. He was controlled. They almost killed him. He was in a bad strait there for a long time. He almost died. So, they kept the facade up. And then, of course, Bush Senior was running the show, which is what they wanted to do anyway. So he started running the show quite a bit, I believe. And then once he came in office. So one of the things that Bush Sr., and we should call him Schurf because he was German. He was not American born. He was born in Germany, so he had no right to be an American president. So he actually served in the German Navy at 16. So it's born in Germany, served in German Navy at 16, and then he came to America. And Prescott Bush, also German-born, Schurf. They came here, changed the name. Now, according to Sheila Holm, they changed their name here in America, but it's different everywhere else. And that's the way a lot of these elites are, guys. And I've seen this. I've seen different names for people overseas. A lot of people. And it's like, wow. So that's how they're not held accountable in a lot of these situations. So there's all kinds of craftiness that goes on with these people. We have to learn their ways so that we can defeat them, so that they can't squirm around like the snakes they are, the reptilians that they are, right? So that's where we are with a lot of this stuff. So I had some silver. I was covering silver today. Silver, you better be in silver, all right? Because this economy is going to collapse, and you never know when. It's on the rails, and that's why silver is exploding up. Get yourself some silver, guys. All right, so let's look at another piece. So, like I said, I'm going to bounce around a little bit so that we get a bigger view. So you have this part of the military, CIA industrial complex, right? So that is controlling a lot of stuff. Now, there's a lot of us that work in this have worked in this military CIA industrial complex. Myself, quite a bit, 35 years. Over time, you start to see all the BS guys, right? You can't be around these idiots, or you can be around these idiots for a while and not see it, but eventually you start to see, all right? Unless you just completely go blind, which I've seen so many people do that. I'm like, I would like quietly on occasion go, you really think that 9/11, those buildings imploded upon themselves first time in history? And they're like, yeah, what do you mean? Like, you're a demolitions expert. Don't you understand that that's impossible? Oh, don't go there, Jaco. Dumbassery everywhere. So a person like that can be used by the system. And is. And unfortunately, that's quite often most of them. All right. Quite often most of them. All right. So let's look at another piece. This was a very good show by Sean Ryan. I really like this show. This is a SEAL Team 6 operator, Red Squadron. I was a Red Squadron guy, so I relate to him. Red Squadron, every SEAL Team squadron, every Delta squadron, they have their own unique way of, mindset and so forth. So I look at I looked at this show and I was like, this is incredible. So Matt Bissonette really did a good job. He revealed a lot of information in this, kind of like what I'm doing right now. So I'd highly recommend you watch this. SEAL Team 6 operator describes the craziest moment of the Bin Laden raid. This is just a clip, but I put it at a spot where we're going to get a little bit more insight. So I'm going to show you the mindset of Navy SEAL. Now, I think Matt Bissonette, like me, like I was, I had the Archangel Michael protection. Something was protecting Matt Bissonette, and fortunately, the people around him were protected too. But it's quite impressive. I used to see this all the time in the SEAL teams. It's almost like, for most of us, that didn't happen for everyone, unfortunately, but for most of us, we were protected. I guess as long as we're doing good. And then maybe some groups, maybe unwittingly, were outside of that scope. I don't know.
It's fucking genius.
I didn't think of any of that.
Wow.
But you got to think, right now, you just heard some guy answered to the name Khalid, right?
Now, Matt was in a helicopter that crashed, and his legs were hanging out because this is the way I had my legs hanging out the side of helicopters all the time. I love that position because you're first off. I like to be first. All right. I was very highly aggressive, and I like to get going and lead by example. So that's been my mark for a long time. So I will have my legs hanging out the side. The guys behind would kind of like keep you locked so you didn't fall in case the helicopter did a little, jig to the left or right or whatever. Now, when his helicopter came in, it didn't have enough lift when it came into the compound, and it crashed. So it crashed, and the way it crashed, it almost went to the point where it would have crushed him, but it stopped. So, I mean, this whole interview is like that. It's just full of this. His whole life, growing up in Alaska, all kind of crazy stuff. This Matt Bissonette seems like he's definitely protected to me.
Heard all the guys downstairs got guns, right? I got shot.
All right, so they've already moved into the last house where Osama bin Laden is. So they cleared the other two. I guess there were two other shelters. One of them, they took fire. They fired through, took out one of the guys that was firing at them. Same thing in another house. One of the women in the house ran to get the weapon that had been her husband or whatever, and she got shot, but just a immobilizing shot to the leg or something. So here they are. They're moving upstairs, and this is where they're at right now. This is crazy the way this happens sometimes. So you're going to hear how they're moving up these stairs, and they just one of the guys in his group just whispered the guy's name because they knew, the guy that was in this area. So they whispered his name, and he poked his head around the corner, and they shot him. He had a weapon. He was in hiding. If they had gone up, he would have unloaded on all these guys. It's crazy stuff.
At the first floor. So, okay, whoever is in this house is putting up a fight and trying to hide, right? So okay, significant. At least chalk that up in the back of your mind as you're moving through the target. That, okay, maybe the intel folks are correct for once, right? There was a ton of different intel people involved in this. The girl from the Zero Dark 30 movie, she was always 100%, right? She wasn't a hot redhead, but she was always 100%. There was other intel people we had there. Some of them be 50%, 70. She was always 100%. So yeah, you're thinking, okay, all these little pieces, these are all little signs that are adding up in the back of your head. Step over Khalid and head up to the third floor.
How much interaction did you guys have with the woman?
The CIA chick?
Yeah.
Tons. She was there when she briefed us in. I sat next to her on the flight over. The movie does a great job portraying how feisty smart she is. She's wicked smart.
Right.
Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
All right, so you're moving up to the third deck.
Third floor, point man in front of me again.
Same guy?
Same guy whispered Khalid. Head pops out the door at the top. Point man takes a couple shots, and the head disappears into the room.
All right, that head that disappeared into the room was Osama bin Laden. As you guys know, I've talked about how I was part of helping to locate him through my intuition. I'm not sure if it's the same case officer he's talking about, but I believe it is. I was working with this case officer. She was like, I'm going to dump this doctor that, we thought would lead us to Osama bin Laden. I said, I think he's going to lead us to Osama bin Laden. I wouldn't dump him. And so she looked at me quizzically, and then she kept on working with him, and he eventually did lead us to Osama bin Laden's place, and we've talked about that. So I was there in Pakistan when this happened. In Islamabad, I was 50, 60 miles away. We had an action plan to basically potentially move everyone, our group, and potentially other people, maybe in this mission, across the border into Afghanistan. So we had all kinds of different, we were going to go by vehicle as far as we could. If the vehicles came under attack, we're going on land. It's like, so we knew the territory, all kinds of crazy stuff, guys. So there's a lot that goes into these things, a lot. And these guys probably don't even know that there was a background like that developed for them, right? So crazy, crazy stuff. So Osama bin Laden, within an hour after he was shot, I saw the pictures of it, right? So very, very crazy. So you have good guys doing good work, and then you have bad guys sabotaging. All right? So who might one of those people be? Who might one of those people be? Someone that everyone like puts on a pedestal. Puts them on a pedestal. Who might that be? And I do this and I get so much heat, but you know, Matt Bissonnette called it, and I'm like, I'm going to go there. So Matt Bissonnette said that he's not fond of Admiral McRaven. So he talked about how Admiral McRaven, now McRaven was nominated by President Barack Obama for promotion from the rank of Vice Admiral to Admiral and appointed as the 9th commander of U.S. SOCOM. So U.S. SOCOM, that's who did that mission to get Osama bin Laden. That's the highest level. So Matt Bissonnette talks about how Obama was having, every year they have like this press dinner at the White House. So he was having a press dinner when they wanted to do the hit, and he asked McRaven, hey, can you push that a day? So McRaven pushed it a day. And then Matt Bissonnette talks about how one of the reasons why that crash happened is because if they gone in on the day that they were supposed to, the weather was perfect and the humidity and all the different things were just right, so that helo would not have crashed. Would not have crashed. Right? Now we've seen McRaven viciously attack President Trump. And we've also seen McRaven being given like a massive stipend from Amazon for, I don't know, one of his books or like, no, they just said he's one of the great people of America. And they gave him like 10 or 15 or $50 million, something crazy. So another payout, there's money laundering to pay people off. And that was probably for talking shit about Trump. Right? So Matt Bissonnette has some more stuff in there about McRaven. But I've told you guys, there's bad actors in the military. They're in there. They're interwoven in there. They shut operations down. They don't follow orders. Like we just had, the Seditious Six. One of them, captain in the Navy. All right. Mark Kelly, astronaut, famous, blah, 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 bullshit. He was appointed. He was put in position, guys. So now he's attacking Trump, and he's a CIA puppet, the bad CIA, like I talk about. The bad CIA is doing missions against Trump, doing missions against us in the United States. That doesn't mean all the CIA is bad. Doesn't mean all Somalis are bad. Doesn't mean all Wisconsins are bad because they had their money taken from them and shipped to terrorist groups, right? A lot of us are misled. A lot of us are lied to. A lot of us are fooled. But there are some of us, you can't fool us all the time, right? And that's where I want to help you guys get there, so you're very rarely fooled, right? So I could go down a lot of these rabbit holes with you guys, but let's go down this one. Let's go down this one and I'm going to go expose a little bit more. All right. Because it's already been exposed to a certain extent. And I'm just going to, like, I've been told stuff, and I'm going to bring it up now. Chris Kyle. All right. Did Chris Kyle deck Jesse Ventura at McPee's? All right. Now, remember, Jesse Ventura, he's a big guy. And when you do wrestling, I can tell you, as someone that does martial arts, you learn to pool your martial art training so you don't kill your partner that you're training with. All right. So when you've seen a lot of this wrestling stuff, where it looks real, but it's not, that's because these guys are expert to the level where they can pull it. And that takes a lot of skill at the last minute. So Jesse Ventura, big guy, big muscles. All right. Used to be bigger, probably did steroids at one time, I bet. But he's not a little guy. Chris Kyle, not so big. Right. So he says he decks Jesse Ventura, and then Jesse Ventura runs away, or he runs away. One of them run away. All right. So the guy that owns McPee's is a Vietnam vet. And through his contacts, through people that he knows, because he owns a bar, he knows the bartenders, he knows everybody in there. He knows Ventura. I think the Ventura wasn't even there. I think it got down to that. I don't know. I don't know all the details. You hear, like, again, you hear disinformation, you hear so many different things, you don't know what to believe. All right. So, but what we do know is that Jesse Ventura basically did he went after Kyle's estate. Now, Chris Kyle. We know that Chris Kyle was like this super sniper, right? So let me see. Let me pull up his book. So American Sniper, Navy SEAL, Chris Kyle. Let me bring that book up. You know, they did the movie and everybody's all weepy over it because it was like, you know, he was killed by a guy at the range. That's super suspect as well. Sounds like Chris Kyle, who was on Howard Stern's and told the audience for Howard Stern's that he decked Jesse Ventura because he was talking shit about guys who had just recently died. There was there's one guy that jumped on a grenade, and so they're like having a wake or something like that at McPee's bar in Coronado, where all the SEALs used to hang out. I used to hang out there all the time. So they're talking about how, or at least Kyle is talking about how Jesse turns up and says, well, they deserve it, or some bullshit. Like, really? You believe that a Navy SEAL, a former Navy SEAL, Minnesota governor, conspiracy theory guy that's basically exposing all kind of stuff, you think he's going to come into a Navy SEAL bar, which he's former Navy SEAL, and talk bullshit like that? That should be your first, that's bullshit, right? That should be your first idea that that's bullshit. All right, so American Sniper. So, of course, I have a lot of SEAL friends over the years that have informed me of a lot of different things. Truth, you know, real truth, and so forth. So Chris Kyle, they were basically had a sniper position in, I think it was Iraq, it could have been Afghanistan, I don't know. But if someone came out with a weapon, they would shoot them, right? So they had control over this one street, this one area, this one town, and they're protecting this base, I guess. And I'm sure he did like 5 or 6 different missions, you know, deployments or something like that. So my buddy told me that Chris Kyle came in and relieved his buddy, who had been on the gun, you know, all night up into the morning, and then no shots, nothing. Chris Kyle gets on the gun and within minutes starts blasting away. So they can't see downrange what he's shooting at, but they just got off the gun, his spotter and him, the sniper. They didn't see anything, Chris Kyle gets on there and just starts shooting the hell out of everything. Sounds pretty, well, I think we know what's going on there, don't we? Right? He's just blasting away people. All right. So another instance that someone told me was that Chris Kyle would get him and sometimes other people that would go with him as a backup, and he would go in town and go into where people lived, and he would shoot their goats. He would like climb over the wall, get in the compound, shoot their goats or whatever. They would come out with guns, of course, and he would shoot them. So these are the things I've been told about this. Now you can say, oh, that's bullshit. But I've heard a lot of these stories, guys. So then we have Chris Kyle killed by a PTSD Marine. So Chris Kyle, another SEAL, take this PTSD Marine to a shooting range to like help him with his PTSD. And he shoots Chris Kyle, who's like this expert everything, right? And he gets to jump on Chris Kyle and the other SEAL and kills him. Should be another bullshit flag, guys. All right. So I'm just throwing the stuff out there. I can't verify anything. All I know, what I've been told by reliable sources that to me are telling me the truth. Right. So why did Chris Kyle say that he decked Jesse Ventura? Did you just not see how Jesse Ventura is basically talking about a lot of things that the CIA does not want talked about? How the CIA called him down into his state house and asked him, how did you win the election? The CIA in his state house. So CIA is supposed to be overseas for one, and not in America. But they're in every state, because I used to be overseas and all these case officers were like, oh, I'm going to California after this. I'm thinking to myself, what? Every state, guys, every state. The CIA controls the world, but not for long. Not for long. All right. So we're getting to that point, but we have to go through these hard reveals. We have to see that there's other things that are involved here that many of us probably don't want to hear. And some of you will attack the messenger, right? I understand that. It is what it is. Like I said, I used to be around some hammerhead, alpha males, and you just can't talk to them. Some of those hammerhead alpha male former SEALs are probably like blowing up right now, right? So it is what it is, all right? All right, so one of the SEALs present was Chris Kyle, the most lethal sniper in U.S. military history. Another, at least according to Kyle, was Jesse Ventura, former SEAL, professional wrestler, and governor of Minnesota. What happened next is the subject of a lawsuit in St. Paul, Minnesota. The questions at issue: was Ventura at McPease that evening? Did he insult the memory of a SEAL killed in Iraq? And did Kyle then deck him? Kyle claims he did in his book, American Sniper, which came out in January last year. So this has been a while. This was written. So back in 2012, right? So 2006, Ventura was riding high after his term as governor. He had 2 bodyguards with him. I don't know about that. Why? I don't. Maybe the state of Minnesota still had to provide him with protection, a protective detail, possible. I don't have a protective detail. All right, so whatever. But I've had many threats all my life. So Chris Kyle had 160 confirmed sniper kills out of 255 claimed. So interesting. All right. A year earlier, Governor Ventura filed a defamation lawsuit against Kyle for the claims he made in American Sniper and also on the Howard Stern show. So, in a section of Kyle's book with the heading Punching Out Scruff Face, he wrote about confronting a celebrity over disrespecting SEALs, the war, and the president, George W. Bush. All right. That night in 2006, Scruffface, Kyle wrote, served in Vietnam. He did. I worked with guys when I was in that were Vietnam veterans that told me about Jesse Ventura being there and being in the barracks where I stayed at in the Philippines. So they'd be in the Philippines for a little bit, and then they go out towards Vietnam or fly out there, go in ships or whatever, right? All right, so Kyle later admitted on the O'Reilly factor that he had been referring to Ventura. And then he was on, so maybe I should look that up, because I could not find the one where he was on Howard Stern. Because what they do, guys, is they clean a lot of this stuff. So there's stuff that we have memories of, and we can't find it anymore because they clean. They come in and let this stuff go. They let a little bit piece go, and then they clean it. Right. So then everybody's like, well, where's that photo? Where's that video? And it's gone. They clean it. Right. Is Ventura uncomfortable suing Kyle's widow? So Kyle got shot at the range, got killed. And Ventura is like, still wants his reputation, wants it cleared. Who wouldn't? I'd like to have my reputation cleared in a lot of places where I think the CIA came in, but I don't know. But I'm pretty sure they did. So anyway, because when I tried to get jobs doing other things, there was a brick wall, right? And it was like, nope, we're not going to hire you. I was like, why? And they're like, and that's all they would do. I was like, okay, I know what's happening here. So, okay. No, because they try to destroy your life like they tried to destroy Ventura's guys. So he's basically diming out their system, calling it out, informing the American public. They don't like it. They don't like it. They like us all dumbed down and not knowing what they're doing. And when somebody comes out to reveal, they either destroy them like they tried with Ventura. And I bet Ventura, I don't know if he would come right out and say it on film. Maybe he has. If I could get him on the backside, I bet he would tell me, yeah, I've had this, and this attempt on my life. I promise you, right? I promise you. Because a lot of times you don't want to reveal if they've been close to successful. Because then they're like, oh, we almost had them? Dang. Thought we've effed that all up. Let's keep going. Right? So for me, I'm seen to be protected, like Matt Bissonette. I don't know. I guess most SEALs might think there could be some truth to Kyle's allegations, he says. I've known even admirals to get punched by their subordinates once they're out, retired. And I know of this as well. A little punch on the jaw. I've seen that happen in the beer line at reunions. They tend to drink a lot at those functions. Yes, I've been to those functions, and they're a lot of fun. And people get scrappy. Some of those old SEALs, you got to be careful around those guys. They get a little scrappy, and they feel all like entitled because, and not really. I love all the SEALs, but some of these guys are like, you whippersnappers, you FNGs. And I was like 20 years at the time. He was like, you FNG. Damn. So they get a little scrappy. All right. And that's that mentality, that's a mentality. And that's okay, because that keeps a lot of people alive. All right. You feel like you're invincible. And because of that invincible feeling, you do things that most people would not do, and that quite frankly are impossible. So you need to have that kind of edge, but eventually that catches up to you. You get injured and you're like, oh shit, I'm not invincible. That realization slows some people down. It didn't me, but they wanted to slow me down, and they wanted me to be fly the desk. And I was like, no, I didn't come into the military to fly desk. If I wanted to do that, I would have become an officer, right? An officer and a gentleman, because I would have been a good officer and a gentleman. But I wanted to play. So when they wouldn't let me play, then I went into contracting and I played another game, and that was quite interesting as well. So Ventura took him to court. He won. He won 1.8 million, I think it was. Won. So that's obvious that he was a jury trial. So the jury got to see everything, and they're like, "Yeah, that was a lie. That was a lie." It became it, and of course he was attacked. There were people in SEAL teams attacked him. How dare him go after Chris Kyle's wife and try to take money from her? It was crazy, right? And I don't know, maybe some of those guys were part of that secret SEAL team that I talk about that is behind the scenes doing things that really they should not be doing, but maybe a facade of doing good things, but doing some bad things as well, because I've heard from some of those people, and I know that's true. And I've asked people about this team, and I catch them. I catch some of these people, and they're like taken off guard, and you can see it cross somebody's face, like, "Oh, I've never asked that, but I got to lie about it." And then they're like, "No, there's that team doesn't exist." Okay, it does then. So I know how to ask the questions, and I know who to ask them about. So there's ways to get information, and if you're been around for a while, I've been approached that way too, and people got information from me like that. And I was like, "Damn, that was fucking clever. I'm gonna do that too." Right? But the next time I get hit like that, I'm gonna notice it. I'm gonna be like poker face. I got a good poker face. All right, so Jesse Ventura won his defamation lawsuit against the estate of Chris Kyle. 1.8 million, 500,000 for defamation, unjust enrichment from the defamation, 1.3 million. Jury findings: the jury concluded that Kyle's claims about Ventura were false and harmful to his reputation. Now, we know they'll lie and they'll use the judicial system to destroy you, like they did Matt Bissonnette. They listen to Matt Bissonnette's detail his story. They destroyed Matt Bissonnette. They destroyed Jesse Ventura. They destroyed me. Some of us fight our way back, right? So we're like old dogs. You can kick us, but you can't make us go away. We're going to come back fighting, right? Old, scarred up, mean old dogs. All right, appeal and subsequent developments. The 8th Circuit Court, which is located in, where is it? Is it Arkansas? Oh, no, Nevada. So Clark County, Nevada, which is Democrat leftist stronghold, right? Controlled by the CIA, I believe. And so they basically took it there, and they were like, "No, you're not going to be paid." So I don't know if he ever got paid, but they basically threw it out. It says the 8th Circuit Court later vacated the original award, citing improper comments made by Ventura's counsel. They just make this shit up, guys. Improper comments by his counsel. What? Like they if there was improper comments, the judge and the jury and the other, no, they didn't know. They didn't realize it. We, in a completely different court, can see this. This judicial system is fried. It's completely fried. It's been fried for a long time, right? We have to have military tribunals. We have to replace the corrupt judges, lawyers, and so forth. The lawyers, from what I'm hearing, are going to go away, and I think some of them already have, away from the British Admiralty ruling, whatever bar, whatever that stupidness, accredited bar, British accredited registry. I think that's where it is. So they have to take an oath to the bar, and they have to do the bar exam. What bullshit, So we're still, beholden to British royalty. Jeez, yeah, no, that's got to go away. That's bullshit. Common law. They did it, in the UK. And then they circumvented that as well in the UK. And now we're seeing people just expressing their opinions. Some people just have their opinions and they haven't even sent them out. They have them in their Facebook or they have them in their email opinions, which the British royalty, I guess, Khazarian mafia, reptilian agenda, whatever. So still, they don't want that. So they're basically arresting people for just having a meme that they haven't even sent out. So that shows you that they're looking into our stuff as well. You think that you make an email, but you don't send it out. They don't see that. They've been all in my emails, guys. They send me bullshit to F with me, to screw with my mind. It'll pop into my emails like, what is that? Or comments like in this. I wouldn't doubt there's all kind of comments that come into this. So they're constantly playing mind games with me, constantly. And they're probably playing mind games with a lot of you and you don't realize it. So this hopefully will get you to the point where you start to see through that bullshit so that we can stop it out. So when it'll end up like the UK, where you write something like, I'm not sure I'm going to send that. And they're like knocking on your door. All right, it's time to go to prison. Why? Because you had this. I wasn't even going to, I thought about it. I wasn't even going to, well, good enough, right? You had it somewhere and we saw it. At some point they're going to be like, oh, we saw it in your mind. They already do that too. You know that. So, and they try and like infiltrate and tell us what to do. MK Ultra, all these people that go and do these, shoot people up, Manchurian candidates. There's some people that are very susceptible and they hunt for them. And if they see them as a child, then they develop them and then eventually take them into some of these organizations. They find a way to get them in there and then they use them. All right. So Jesse Ventura's long feud with American sniper Chris Kyle explained. Let's look at this. So wrestling fans know, Jesse the Body Ventura. How did he get that body? I guess he was in the barracks back in the day when he was Navy SEAL. Some of the guys were saying he would lock the door and he'd play like acid rock and he'd work out with weights and he like built his body up. And then he got out of the teams and then he went to become a wrestler, professional wrestler. So funny, all the stories you hear. So the Body, best known for his time as a color commenter in WWE and WCW, but much of now when he was on the Predator, you remember when they're in the helo and they're going in to get the alien? If you've never seen the Predator, it's basically they're chasing down this alien that's basically wiping everybody out, and he's basically taking their heads and their spines for trophies. So they're hunting this alien, and Jesse is in there, and he's like got a chaw, just like a lot of SEALs. They have like this chaw dip, and he had this big old chaw in his mouth, and he's like, what he say? He's like some about how he's it's just around the tip of my mind. I was just thinking about it, and I was like, I got to bring this up. It'll be very funny to everybody. And he's like talking some about how his sexual, he was like sexually had these sexual abilities, like whatever. I wish I could remember the line, but anyway, he stole the show. And I've heard this from a lot of people. Arnold Schwarzenegger was not happy with him, and he wouldn't do any more movies with him because he was so popular when he came out to do his shows. So what was it? Somebody was like, he spit, and then somebody's like, that's disgusting. And he says, I think he says it's like makes him a sexual, like, incredible sexual something. So, I wish I remembered it. Maybe it'll pop into my mind. Maybe some of you guys remember it. Just put it in the chat if you remember it. Got no time to bleed. Yep, that was a good one. That was a good line. Predator invisibility tech is real. Yes, they were leaking it to us. It's absolutely real. It's been around for a while. All right. Oh, I remember now. It says it makes you a sexual tyrannosaurus. So whatever the hell that means, but sounded cool when he said it. I don't know. So anyway, Kyle alleged an altercation, blah, blah, blah. We've talked about that. Jesse Ventura's 1.8 million verdict overturned. Another 4 months later, the publisher of American Sniper sued Kyle, blah, blah, blah. Before a new trial could take place, Ventura tried to appeal the decision to the U.S. Supreme Court. Ultimately, in January 2017, the Supreme Court declined to hear the case. 2017. Wow. So that's when Trump was in office. So that sucks. All right. So anyway, it sounds like he probably didn't get his money. All right. But to a certain extent, because he won the case, I think he got his name returned. I don't know. So Jesse is an honorary lifetime member of the Mongols. So a lot of military, when they leave, they go into these biker clubs. Some of them not so good, but a lot of them, I've worked with some of these biker clubs. They're very, very good. They're absolutely good. Just like everything, Predator, family favorite. Good, Stephanie. So like a lot of, good organizations, I think, probably the Masons, great organization one time, maybe not so much now. Right. And there's good people in there, of course, and they cover for the people that are doing very bad things. So, or have information. So anytime you have secret organizations, kind of like what President Kennedy talked about, these secret organizations are abhorrent to America, and that they're one of them, unfortunately. So probably why I never wanted to go in there. All right, so here's another little clip of Jesse on Howard Stern. He was on Howard Stern before, I guess, Chris Kyle came on and talked shit about him.
Your controversial stance on 9/11 and what happened to the World Trade Center, that you believe it was a conspiracy conducted by the government.
Well, I believe that you can't prove anything, Howard, because all of the evidence is destroyed.
Right.
So there's no way to prove a thing. But I believe this. I believe that if our government wasn't part of it, they certainly knew it was going to happen and did nothing to stop it.
That is the most remarkable thing. I mean, if that was ever proven true, there'd be a revolution in this country.
Well,
all right. So this is a while back. Now, around this time frame, I was looking for how many people believed that 9/11 was, inside job, choreographed by our government. Now, a lot of people are like, I would tell them this, and they'd be like, I don't believe that because our government's so fucked up. There's no way they could do this. And I was like, well, it wasn't our government. It's inside. Behind the scenes, I didn't use the word deep state back then, but as we know, we term it now, it's deep state, a deep state government that's behind the scenes running a lot of this activity. So a lot of guys didn't believe it. So they just blew it off because in their minds, even though there's obviously a lot of stuff that does not fit, they can't make it fit in their mind, so they're just like dismiss it all. That's the way a lot of people are. If it's not in their reality, even though they should be, like myself, very observant and see things and see a lot of things and go, yeah, like my Tennessee had a lieutenant commander that was good friends with because we used to do triathlons together. He would say, "That dog don't bark." So he like all dogs bark, but sometimes dogs don't bark. There's very rare cases. I know My mom had a poodle. She got him a little boy, but he'd never bark. He'd never bark. Pretty wild, but he was pretty smooth. He was still very protective. He was like, you know, and but he wouldn't bark. It's really strange. There are some dogs who don't bark, but so he said that dog don't bark, because most dogs bark. Almost all dogs bark. So by saying that, you're saying that there's something wrong. There's something wrong. That dog don't bark, right? So I loved it when he said that. So he was another guy that worked in, eventually, I saw him overseas, and I was like, John, I won't say his last name, but John, how's it going? What, you're over here? Because I was in the CIA working as a contractor. So we were in the same vicinity with transportation. And I was like, who are you working with? And he's like, I was like, okay. And that's the way it was. And then like, I think within a year or so, he had a heart attack and died. Wonder what he was into. Bummer. All right. He was like triathlon. He was like me, ultra healthy. Right. So yeah, very, very, you start to see that kind of stuff and you're like, oh, bummer. So I've seen a lot of people disappear over the years. All right. Very, very fucked up stuff. All right. 9/11, the awful truth. So it says that how many believe, I put in the search, and I did DuckDuckGo, because sometimes it gives me a little bit more insights, because Google is very controlled, of course. I said, how many believe 9/11 was an inside job? So let me share the screen so we can just kind of see this together. And there's not a lot of people, all right, believe that it was as they said. Opinion polls, as we see, Wikipedia is totally corrupted, so I'm not even going to look there. The University of Warwick. Why do people believe 9/11 was an inside job? So they did a study on it, 250,000 pound, I don't know what that translates to, maybe 300,000 study. And the guy was like, had all these like intellectuals and all, you know, blah, 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 blah. So I think the people that think for themselves, critical thinkers, for the most part, are like, yeah, that's bullshit, right? Those that listen to Wikipedia, the false narratives of the deep state and so forth, believe that narrative. Unfortunately, still, it's incredulous to me that still there's people out there. But I hear every time I say that people come in the chat. It's like, yeah, I have my cousin is in New York law enforcement and he believes it. I was like, are you kidding me? Of all people, they should be the ones that really don't believe it. So anyway, I guess they probably have to get those jobs. And you don't hear a lot of people talk about this that are in the political realm. They don't, and high-level military, they don't go there, guys. Very few people will come out like myself and speak out and bring all this information. I had like the Architects for Truth guys come in and talk, went deep down this. I think I did like 4 or 5 hours where they came in with all the information and just destroyed the narrative of this being a real thing. So conspiracy theories. So mostly at this point, I think most people, way over 50%, I would say 60, 70%, I would hope at this point, don't believe the narrative. Now we're constantly given more and more reality checks on this. So for the first time in history, before or since, there's never been a time where buildings collapse on their footprint from fires. And I've done shows where there was a firefighter that was on the floor where the plane crashed, and he said they had it under control. And within seconds after him passing that over the radio, it collapsed. All right. So there's the police, firefighters, police, doctors, demolition experts like myself, military. There's so many different groups that are like for 9/11 truth guys. Many, many different groups. Does it make a difference? I think over time, like we've talked about, I was like, okay, here's the 9/11's coming around a few days before. I'm going to reveal information, and now it's time to get like attacked like crazy, right? Now I don't see any attacks. I haven't for years now. So that's a good sign. All right. So in Hong Kong, they had these buildings that burned for days, and they didn't collapse. How about that?
That raced upward along the exterior structures and spread into apartments housing thousands of residents.
Now, what kind of residents did they have there? What do you think? Seniors, lots of seniors. So I think the latest death toll I saw was like well over 100, and they're saying there's like hundreds that are still missing.
Floor. Those precious lost minutes allowed the fire to intensify further and made evacuation more chaotic.
So look at this. These fires are raging from the bottom to the top on all of these buildings for days, and none of them collapsed.
The psychological impact was profound.
All right. Are there any stupid 9/11 believers still? Don't be stupid. You're not going to last much longer if you're stupid. Really, you aren't, right? So, Jesse Ventura, American politician, political commentator, actor, media personality, retired professional wrestler, Jesse the Body, like we talked about. He entered politics in 91, elected mayor of Brooklyn Park, Minnesota, a position he held until 1995. He was the Reform Party candidate in the 1998 Minnesota gubernatorial election, running a low-budget campaign centered on grassroots events and unusual advertising that urged citizens not to vote for politics as usual. Initially ignored as a novelty candidate, Ventura defeated both the Democrat and the Republican nominees, a major upset. And the CIA was pissed. They were pissed. All right. So what else they get pissed about? So Jesse went on after that to, I guess he moved down to Mexico to escape United States, right? From the attacks he was probably getting from the deep state. So he started this conspiracy theory with Jesse Ventura, and he did many shows. I love these shows. He did 22 episodes from 2009, 2012. Let's look at some of these episodes. HARP. Oh boy, HARP. How about that? 9/11, global warming, lie, Big Brother, all the way back in 2009. Big Brother, 2009, looking in on our shit. How about that? Secret societies, Manchurian Candidate, Apocalypse, 2012. Let's go a little bit deeper. What else you got? Plum Island, where they developed What's that? Where you get the tick, Lyme disease. That's where they developed limes. The Nazis from Germany went to Plum Island. So I talked about it early on. Area 51, of course, that's huge. Wall Street conspiracy, police state conspiracy, JFK conspiracy, Gulf oil spill, Great Lakes, Pentagon, and reptilian. Ooh, when I did the reptilian stuff, boy, they didn't like that. They don't like that. The reptilians would look at me sometimes when I was in the CIA. I would ask them questions sometimes that were like pointed because I wanted to know some things that were probably not they didn't want me to know. And they get the slit eyes and they get really, really angry. And I was like, oh, a reptilian. How about that? And death ray, direct energy weapon, time travel, Ozark, Skinwalker, brain invaders. So they got tired of him revealing all this stuff. He had Sean Stone on seven episodes with him. He did a great job. I've met Sean Stone. He's a great guy, great revealer, great information gatherer and revealer. June Sarpong, I haven't seen anything from her since those shows, but he had like those two as his team. And they would go and front load a bunch of stuff. They'd be like as, team that went out and got information. Then he'd fly in and then they talk and then he'd go reveal stuff. It was pretty cool. They did a really good job. Of course, the deep state did not like that. And they destroyed him. Or tried. All right. So a lot of people ask, why was SEAL Team 6 chosen as for the Osama bin Laden raid? Because we know that, and I know that SEAL Team 6 is water oriented. That was far from the water. Although they said they dumped Osama bin Laden's body into the water. Yeah, probably not. Right? Just said that. You say it and it's like, why don't you put that on camera? Or why don't you video that and let us know? Yeah, because it didn't happen. All right, so why SEAL Team 6? Remember McRaven, Navy SEAL, head of JSOC. That's why. All right. Now, if they'd had somebody from Delta there, who do you think would have gone? Delta, right? And maybe it would have been better. Maybe it would have been the same. I don't know. Because I've worked with the Delta bros and they're awesome. So Navy SEAL Admiral reveals his biggest fear during planning of the bin Laden raid. Oh, do we really want to know? No, but he did it anyway. So a lot of these guys had books coming out. And Osama, I want to say Osama, but it was Obama. Yeah, Osama bin Laden, pretty much the same thing. So Obama, another terrorist, they were putting out a movie and a book. And then, other people put their books out and kind of like, stole the show. They didn't like that because they want to make Obama like the hero for like, saying, go do it. There are those of us that really push this, right? We've been, and eventually we got to the point where we were able to work around the system and we got it done, right? So they had no choice because we basically, we had it all out there, right? So, yes, books of lies, lots of books of lies out there. And so we have to work around some. I don't know why it won't show that. Kevin Free, there he goes. Kevin Free, good job. I like your insights. So there are so many books of lies, especially Obama. He did his book, which 2 people read, but he got like tens and tens, maybe even hundreds of millions of dollars from the book. All right. It's money laundering. And that Obamacare, the reason why they shut down America for 2 months, because we wouldn't, or at least the Republicans, we the people, because we elected President Trump, we the people said no. And pretty much we're tired of these insurance companies ripping us off, and you want to do more of that, F you, right? F you and your Obamacare bullshit. And so anyway, Obama, you ever think, I always thought, because Obama brought it out, they named it Obamacare. They named it Obamacare so he could get income from his name being used. $2 million a year for rights to his name on Obamacare. He got upwards of $40 million from U.S. taxpayers just because his friggin' name was on Obamacare, guys. Trump shut it down. Wow. I don't know. Maybe that's why they revolted and said they didn't want to work with Republicans and help work with Americans. So Chucky Schumer, they don't give a shit about Americans. So they screwed over Americans big time, didn't they? Too much. I think Chucky Schumer's gone, right? Because he didn't keep it. He wasn't able to keep it. There were like Democrats that were like, oh shit, this is so bad. We're going to vote for this thing. We're going to vote for, we're going to work with you and let's just get the budget passed. So Chucky Schumer's not very popular now. Ocasio-Cortez is probably going to take his place because New Yorkers are completely compromised. They just voted in a communist that hates our president, called him a Nazi after he visited him. And Trump said, oh, he's going to be great. And then he went home and said, oh, he's a Nazi. Yeah, New Yorkers. Ooh. Yeah, New Yorkers going to go bye-bye. All right. So a lot of us have seen, how the deep state has brought in a lot of these bad actors. You saw what one guy can do, killed those two. I'd be surprised if the other guy lives. A headshot from a shooter that knows how to do headshots. All right. Fortunately, there were some guys there with guns that basically shot him, and they were able to take him captive. That's good. So now I'll give you a question. And the CIA, I guess Ratcliffe basically came out and said, yep, he worked for the Zero group, or whatever. It was like 03. And they were trained by, the Special Activity Center. So ground branch guys, special activities. Yes, I can reveal this because it is on the internet. How about that? Right. So Special Activity Center of the United States Central Intelligence Agency, responsible for covert operations. The unit was named Special Activities Division. Sad, so sad. Prior to a 2015 reorganization. When SAD took over, they were basically two separate groups. Special Operations Group for tactical paramilitary operations. Probably at some point they had the assassins in there, guys. Maybe they're still in there. I don't know. I've seen some people over the years in the SEAL teams that disappeared for periods of time, and they came back and they didn't talk about what they did. I don't know. Maybe they did something good, but maybe they work for this group. So anyway, they are responsible for operations that include clandestine or covert operations with which the U.S. government does not want to be overtly associated. So they train people like this one Afghan, and they go do the dirty work, right? And they get paid well, like I got paid well. But I never did the killings, right? I wasn't a mercenary. I was a protective detail guy. I never would have done mercenary work. That's not in my vocabulary, not in my, I have high consciousness, right? So anyone that does merc work, like a lot of people are going over to Ukraine right now from all over the world doing mercenary work, they're low totem pole people, right? All right. So as such, unit members called military operations officers and specialized skills officers do not typically wear uniforms. Just like I didn't when I traveled overseas and worked overseas. You don't have a uniform, and that's so you can move around and not be recognized. Right? You even wear the local garb, and you grow out a beard and other things. So, and drive their crazy cars and all kind of stuff, and walk around like they walk around. I've talked about all this. So it's something that, I saw, like, probably, I would say, some of the best from the SEAL teams, SEAL Team 6 guys. I rarely, if ever, saw a regular SEAL team guy in there. So they pick from the highest levels. So I would, hang out, talk to those guys occasionally. I'm doing my thing. They're doing their thing. Like I talked about my lieutenant commander friend, that John, that eventually had a heart attack. Very suspect, right? So a lot of guys do this stuff. Now, SEAL Team 6, officially known as the United States Naval Special Warfare Development Group, or DEV Group, and it's located somewhere, right? Somewhere in Virginia. And they are also considered the tip of the spear in the Joint Special Operations Command. Now, they have different groups in there. So their structure, let me put their structure in there. Why do I put this in there? Because it gives you a better feel for the organizations. That way you can start to understand how they can come in and manipulate these groups sometimes. I don't think they've done a lot of manipulation in SEAL Team 6. I think it's, at least I hope. I've talked to guys when I was in the CIA. I would talk to Dev Group guys quite often overseas in different locations, lots of different locations, Yemen and Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iraq. And they said their operations were going exceptionally well, and they were doing amazing things. Now, some have said that they're restricting them, their tactics and so forth. Matt Bissonette talked about how they would use dogs, and dogs are very effective, and they would use dogs. And then they were told they could not use dogs because in the Middle East, the people of the Middle East see dogs as unclean. They don't have, I'd say, like probably maybe 1% of people in the Middle East have pets that are dogs, and usually they're Western trained, right? Western trained as in going to colleges, Western colleges in Britain and America and so forth. They'll have dogs, but very rarely do most Middle Easterners. They see them as unclean animal. So because of that, the people in the upper echelon took that away from them. And then they started to have them do their missions at different times. Instead of 0 dark 30, they started doing their missions at different times, which made them vulnerable more again. So this is causing, unfortunately, because there was very, very low loss of life until that one helo crash where we had Gold Team members basically die, not Red Squadron, because a lot of people thought, oh, they killed all those guys that were on that mission. No, it was a different group, guys. So Gold Squadron. So as you see here, there's 4 different squadrons. There's Red Squadron, Blue Squadron, Gold Squadron. They made Silver Squadron after I left. So they have essentially 4 tactical teams. Black Squadron, I think, is a their intel group. Gray Squadron is like a delivery, different vehicles that we use, boats and so forth. And then Green Squadron is a training squadron. So now they have, this is numbers back in 2014. Now I can tell you they're talking about total members and then active military, 1,342. God, that's a lot, right? So not all of those are war fighters. Probably maybe 500, probably a lot less, probably in the 400 range. I wouldn't think there's 100 at any team, because when I was there, it was like 30, 40, 50, something like that. I can't remember exactly, because I'm selectively not remembering, but there's probably just a few hundred actual war fighters there, guys. So the other active military personnel are all support, and the civilians are support. There, when I was there, it was like when I first got there, because I got there right after Marcinko left. I think that was around 2008 time frame. I think it was. No, was it that late? No, it was 19. God, I don't even know, 1998 or 95 or something. 95, I think. Yeah, it was 95. So, yeah, I'm an old guy. So, and I can't remember well. So, but maybe that's good because I don't remember all this stuff, and that way I can't be held accountable. So, when I came in shortly after Marcinko left, who was the founder, Dick Marcinko. Now, I've seen guys come out and attack him, and I'm like, what the heck? It's like this guy like founded this place. He's like the hero for founding this place. Now, Jesse Ventura was a friend with Dick Marcinko, and Dick Marcinko told, when Jesse told him about the CIA coming in there and questioning all that, Dick Marcinko laughed and said, yeah, they're going to do that. And I always wondered about that. Now, Dick Marcinko has passed on, but they came in and destroyed his life big time because he was basically, I believe, revealing deep problems within the military. And his red team group were going around and revealing the vulnerabilities of our military installations. And he made a lot of enemies. He made a lot of enemies when he was at SEAL Team 6 because he, founded this thing, and, it basically took the best of the best. And so the rest of the teams were like angry about that. They were angry when I left and other people left. But I think they came after him and destroyed his life. I think they did the same thing to Marcinko, unfortunately, that they did to Jesse Ventura. All right. So all of you guys out there that are SEALs or former SEALs or whatever, you should take that on board and really think about that. All right. You should really think about that. And then those of you that are in other military positions, still and former, I know a lot of you guys come out and tell me that I'm right on a lot of this stuff. So thank you for support. Now, more than 3,100 arrested in federal operation in Memphis. It's Bondi. All right. I think Bondi's doing a good job. Like I said, I do not believe that she needs to be replaced, but I don't know. I'm not there. And so if it's not moving as fast as you want, I think there's a bigger plan for this thing to like really clamp down on these people. I think a lot of these people already been removed. So some of you are like, whining about why isn't so-and-so been removed? Like Hillary Clinton, why hasn't she been revealed to have been, killed and whatever, tried and executed? Well, because the deep state wants to act it out, and we're like, the good guys are like, let them play it out and see what they make of it, and maybe they'll reveal some more stuff. And then eventually, when we like say, oh yeah, she was exterminated back in so and so, and we've seen her out all this time, and then you're like, those dirty rats have been playing this game for this long. So we're going to see that with a lot of these people. So don't be so critical. Be observant. When the time comes, I think a lot of this stuff is going to be real. I think it's coming. I think we're extremely close to a lot of this stuff being revealed. So Memphis arrest. So the governor, good governor in Tennessee, wanted this task force to come in, just like they're doing in Washington, D.C., like they're trying to do in Chicago, but they're being blocked, like they're trying to do in Portland, but they're being blocked, like they've been doing in L.A. To a certain extent. So Attorney General Pam Bondi said more than 3,100 arrests have been made since they came in November. When did they go in there? Was it October? 2 months. So it's 2 month long crime crackdown. So, but yeah, September, October, November. So September, I thought it was October, but it was the end of September. So anyway, so 3,100 arrests, 121 missing children were located, 500 legal weapons, and murder rates cut in half in 2 months. Crime rates in Memphis at their lowest level in 20 years, said Tennessee Governor Bill Lee. Good job, Bill Lee. Good job. Good man. All right. Bondi said that homicides have dropped around 48%, sexual assaults have dropped 49%, and robberies have dropped 61% during the 56 days compared with the same span last year. Now, if they hadn't gone in there, those crime rates would have continued to go up. Right? So the people of Memphis deserve, the people of the United States deserve this, guys. So when the crackdown comes, it's going to have to be military. Military will have to get involved. All right. So I went off in a couple of different directions there. You like that? Couple of directions, right? So hope this is informative. I'm doing my best to keep you guys informed. There's a lot of other stuff that I'm going to be sharing. We got Earth changes coming up. A lot of psychics have predicted this. I'm going to go into that. A little bit more detail in the coming days. There's a lot of stuff that you need to be aware of going forward. All right. We're getting around on the cusp of something big, I believe. So in a lot of ways. So we'll see. All right. So you know the deal. Stay in the love vibration and send that love out to the baddies. Right now where I'm at is 555. That's a good time. 555s. All right. It's my wife Tracy's birthday. Say happy birthday to Tracy. Going to take her out to a nice dinner. She didn't want to go out late, but she is okay now. So all right. Lots of love to you guys. Stay in the love vibration, and we'll see you guys next time.